Hi, and welcome to the Rockin' Beards podcast. I'm Greg Hamilton,
And this is HSR,
and today we're going to be reviewing the new Orwells album titled. Let's see, what's it say here?
it's titled Terrible Human Beings.
And that's what we are for forgetting the name of the album.
All right, Greg, what's going on with the cup?
Nothing. I just really like coffee.
I don't believe that's true.
Yeah. Okay.
You should tell them, Greg. You should.
I had a trimming accident. I had to chop off part of my beard.
So I'll be the one maintaining the beards portion of this podcast.
Well,
for
a goatee is still kind of a beard.
It's not a beard. I had this conversation with Chris in another podcast, and it's not. This is a beard. It takes effort and pay. It's like a bonsai tree that you shape over time, and you love. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I did the whole head.
Okay, all that happened to me here was I dried my hat in the dryer, and now it's smaller and it's kind of squished. So that's my ordeal. But dude,
I'm just letting it go free. No one notices your bald. Well, I mean, you guys probably noticed with no hair, you can see the scalp.
You kind of look like Walter White.
I've heard that before. People have said that.
Holy shit! I didn't see it till I was like looking at you here, but yeah, no, you got it. I don't know the Breaking Bad noises, but pretend there's Breaking Bad noises playing. Okay, so we decided to jump on this Orwells album mostly because Steel Panther failed us, right? Like there was supposed to be some Steel Panther happening this week. Just like Marilyn Manson failed us.
Wikipedia failed us.
Was it Wikipedia?
It was Wikipedia. Never go to Wikipedia to find out what new songs are coming out, because that's the worst. You can't plan off the shit Wikipedia puts up there.
Apparently not. Okay, in the case of Marilyn Manson, he just delayed the album and didn't tell anybody until after the fact.
In Marilyn Manson's case, that actually happened.
They may have put the word February instead of March, and I was wrong by not.
No, it was Wikipedia put. I mean, they might have changed the date, but Wikipedia should be on top of that shit.
Right. It still says the date that it was supposed to be, and has not updated to the March 27th release date. And guess we'll just have to delay Steel Panther till then.
Yeah, but I look forward to it.
I do too. I don't know a lot, but I got really enthralled when the song Glory Hole started playing, and I was like, this is surprisingly good for a song called Glory Hole, which could have gone in a shit awful direction. But no, they have style, they have flair, and I look forward to it. We jumped on this Orwells album.
Well, since we're on the topic of Wikipedia, like that's one of the places when you have to find a new album that's coming out, you need like to actually research to know this shit. You have to actually go and find this stuff. Like it's difficult to just be like, oh, let's review something new. And so if we are doing that, if we are looking at everything that's coming out of our knowledge, I guess, we do have to go outside and we do have to find music. And
which is probably going to be the case all year, is what it's looking like.
Which is excellent for us. I mean, we get the opportunity to go out and find music that we've never heard before and listen to it for the first time. Like that's.
It actually struck me the other day as we're finally paying attention to new music for the first time in ages. We will be in a position in December to even look into the Rockin' Beards top 10 albums of the year list.
Oh yeah.
And how amazing would it be to make a top 10 anything of the year list, because we've actually been at it for a year.
I can't wait to do the worst albums. That's gonna be great. I think like as a special one day we should just do like, what do you think is the worst rock album of all time? And
Greg is absolutely right. The experience of finding new music I've never heard has been amazing. It's probably my favorite part of this whole podcasting experience. And the Orwells was a treat. I did not know what they were or who they were. They were just a name with an interestingly titled album. And then I started listening, and I was not sure what to expect. And I've completely listened, and I'm still not sure what to expect. But we can go into that.
Well, according to their Wikipedia page. So guys, don't take anything you hear here seriously. It could be completely fabricated and wrong. Blah, blah. They were all high school friends. Two of them are brothers. 2 of them are cousins, and
one of them has a remarkably similar last name to a fellow that we've previously reviewed on this podcast here.
2 of them actually.
Oh, there's 2 Cuomos?
2 Cuomos.
See, I know one of them is a Mario Cuomo. I believe he's the lead singer, dude.
Yeah, and the bassist and the drummer are twin brothers.
It's crazy. Oh, look at that. Grant and Henry Brinner.
Yeah.
Then you have Dominic Corso on guitar and Matt O'Keefe on other guitar. One of them is lead and other one's rhythm.
And apparently they were discovered really young. This is actually their 3rd album, and it says here they only graduated high school in 2013. So they're pretty young.
Looking good for that. Like for real, they're pretty good. Look at their music videos, the 2 that I watched, and they have this energy to them that fits the young people, but at the same time it's twisted with like this, they know some shit. Like they come apparently from the west side of Chicago, I think it was.
Yeah, Chicago.
You can just tell that these guys have at least listened to some music where the source is deep pain and deep agony, and I really enjoyed what they created with it. So yeah, what did you think of the title of the album, Terrible Human Beings?
I find it incredibly ironically funny.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure at first if it was about them or if it was about something else, but I really enjoyed it. Mixed with that album cover where you've got this naked woman sitting at an office chair in some quirky environment, it was nice. It really got me curious for the contents of this band. So yeah, came out February 17th, 2017, and I don't know, you want to get into it? Want to talk about the first song?
Sure.
Alright, so the first track is They Put a Body in the Bayou. Let's say I was a little bit confused as to what this song was about, and then I watched the music video, and I feel like they took every opportunity to make it very clear what this song was about. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a difficult concept to understand.
I like the video. I want to draw attention to the fact that it was clearly had effort put into it, imagination, and it's not just one of those videos where nothing happens, as we'll talk about a little bit later on this album.
It wasn't anything spectacular. I mean, okay, first of all, I'm going to back it up. It's not the kind of band I would normally just go out and pursue to listen to.
Right.
I mean, when I first listened to it, what I heard was what I thought to be the obvious evolution from the stuff we heard from the early 2000s, like the Strokes, Arctic Monkeys, like that kind of shit. Like
right. So the Osheaga crowd, but
yeah,
the harder edge of it. Not to say edge, but like the harder side of
certain, even the Black Keys, like that kind of, you know what I mean? Like
it's just a bunch of bands I haven't really listened to.
Yeah, hear this stuff, and to me, it honestly struck me as okay. This is another band coming out of that genre, but due to something that he told me earlier that we're going to get into around song 5, I changed my tune on that pretty quick.
I had no idea what to expect from it, so lately I've been like slapped in the face so hard by the genre switches and the drastically different styles, lengths of songs and everything that I've just kind of like, I'm coming into these albums now with, I don't care, whatever it is we're going to see. And my first impression was I was too sober for this album. I like this song a lot, because I guess I could imagine myself being piss drunk listening to this, bopping around, singing along, but it didn't really do it for me so much the first time I heard it, but then I heard it a second time and a third time because it had the music video to it, and the song only kind of grew on me the more I listened to it, and I ended up really fucking liking it, just not thinking it's spectacular. It's a cool opener for the album, and it sets a tone that I think is matched well by everything that follows it.
I mean, normally when we review stuff, it tends to be the first song off the album. It tends to be the one that, oh yeah, this is really great. This one, I could take it or leave it. I wouldn't necessarily make it on the playlist for me. But as an album overall, I had suggested this to hold. We had decided to do the Steel Panther album, but yeah,
we ended up here.
I had suggested this to Holden earlier because I had just been listening to it at work and liking it.
I like this song. I gave it 8 undetermined units of measurement because I don't know what we're going with today. But for me, it was an 8 on 10.
Yeah, I haven't figured it out yet either for myself, to be honest with you. But I'd also give it an 8.
Because it had strength. Like, let's say that this is a taste thing. So everything that's going to go on for the next thing is, again, this is not a genre of music I'm familiar with yet. And I want to preface this by saying it might be something I revisit in 6 months and see how I feel about the album after listening to a lot more of what's coming out. But 8 on 10 for now, because I really liked it, and it's not boring, but I would never really go out of my way to seek it out either.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you're looking for stuff to check, to remove from your playlist, this wouldn't be one of those songs. But if you were looking for songs out of your own memory to go and find,
yeah, no, there's nothing distinguishable about it except for that video. Got that one down. Let's talk about Fry.
Fry.
The taste of tea, the taste of others. Tattooed in blue, tattooed in color.
What did you think of this song?
Fry?
Yeah.
Well, I think they are delicious next to hamburgers.
They are absolutely delicious next to most things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But as a song...
I actually really liked it. I thought it was pretty good. It reminds me of something else that I can't fucking remember right now, but...
I had my head going like this. I'm not gonna lie. The whole time I was listening, I was like da 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 da, and
it definitely has like a beach kind of vibe, or like a.
I think the older generations would have called this song an earworm because I can't get the melody out of my head.
Okay.
And I have to say that I was reading along with the lyrics as I like to do, and this shit is deep, man. This song is a real interesting criticism on our escapist society, and I'm like. Let's say the first song didn't strike me so much with the lyrics, but this one I was like, whoa, whatever you want to say about the music, these guys really have something to say with their music. And then you think about the album being Terrible Human Beings, how the first song's about corruption, the second song is about escapist lazy fucks, and you're like, okay, these guys seem to be a little more legitimate than a lot of the other music I've encountered in terms of matching up with the image versus the reality of who they are. And I fucking really dug this track too, but then there's that genre gap where it wasn't enough to really engage me, even though it was a very short song. I liked it a lot. I plussed it on Spotify because I want to hear it again, but I only gave it an 8 on 10.
I thought it was really catchy, and I enjoyed listening to it. I gave it an 8.
Yeah, it's hard to criticize this.
It's okay. So one of the things you try to go out and you try and find individual things about individual songs that you can bring to the forefront when you talk about the songs, right? To make it interesting. Unfortunately, one of the problems I had with this particular album was lack of individual things that I can pick out and talk about. So that
I think there are some cool lyrics, but then if you really look at it, it's just very abstract poetry. It's not really like there's lines you can pick out. It's more like, go listen to that whole song. It kind of makes sense together.
Okay, that one goes on the playlist.
Absolutely. Greg, you can see my Spotify is open over there.
Oh, yeah, I see the check mark.
Moving on, though, to a song that didn't get that gracious plus action, we're going to talk about Creatures.
To be honest, that sounded like Jim Morrison crawled out of his grave and fucked Barney the dinosaur.
Oh shit!
And those are the creatures that they're talking about in the song, because it's kind.
I did feel it's the voice kind of was reminiscent of him a bit. I don't know if I'd be that harsh on it.
Like it's catchy. It's very catchy, but it lacks the depth. Like
it was very. That's a good way to put it. It's very shallow. It felt like a 90s throwback to me lyrically, like just some grungy ass shit, and it was very like exactly what it's supposed to be. I don't know. This one didn't really do as much for me, but. From a bass point of view, they did everything right, but too right.
The blender effect happening immediately. It's not very remarkable.
Still, it was well made, even though it's
I can't say it wasn't well made.
So like I gave this a 7.
Oh, I gave it a 5.
A 5?
Oh, yeah.
It was really that blind for you?
Yeah, I gave it a 5. It was,
Like, I
it was
could
kinda,
see how if I had heard nothing else on the album in a while and this one song came on, I'd be okay with it. I would not plus it. I did not plus it. But if it came on, I wouldn't hate it. But there are better songs.
You ever been to like see a musical?
No, I try very hard to avoid that.
Okay, well, if you've ever gone to a musical or you watch musical movies and shit, there's always one song in the musical where it's just like kind of boring. The scenes where I remember when I was a kid and watching the Disney movie, and the princess had a scene where she just sang a song by herself in her room or something, and that was always like the least entertaining song in the entire thing. But the ones about singing fish and and being under the ocean, that was pretty fun to watch. You know what I mean?
I do. My mom was very much into Grease, and my brother happened to also be very
Hopelessly
much into
devoted.
Grease.
No. What's that song where she's outside in the gazebo?
No,
Sandra D.
No, that one's okay per se, but it's Beauty School Dropout, bro.
No.
Beauty School Dropout is my least favorite song on that album. But then you get Grease Lightning, and you're feeling pumped up again, because who doesn't like Grease Lightning?
So this song on this album is that.
I understand what you mean. Let's move on to a brighter song, in my opinion, at least. Let's talk about Vacation.
I loved Vacation.
A human staircase to a dying star. Turn off your
So yeah, Vacation is a point on the album for me where all of a sudden the hope and invigoration of "That Was Nice" first kicked in. It was the first song I can say I really liked. Not just, okay, whatever. No. This was good. It had a positive fucking message too, like be better, live smarter, and I was like, I can get behind this. These guys aren't just a bunch of fucking wasted ass motherfuckers making this kind of music. They seem to be actually really smart with how they do it, and I support the fuck out of this track.
Yeah, I enjoyed this track immensely. I thought it was right off the bat. I thought it was catchy.
Those drums, man, they're so upbeat, man. You just like,
Yeah, the song itself is very positive. It's very a very positive, uplifting, upbeat kind of song. I definitely would go and grab it for the playlist.
I did. I had no choice. It was at this point my favorite song of the first 4. I gave this a 9, Greg.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I gave it a 9 as well. I particularly like the message in the later portions of the song about the media and such.
It was really fantastic. I feel like these dudes are applying what I like to call the true hip-hop spirit to their songwriting, and I appreciate it for what it is.
Well, that's the thing. There's a point where some people lose it, and it ceases to go from being art to being entertainment.
And
You know what I
pointed
mean?
out, though,
And you can definitely tell just by like the things they're singing about. These guys actually do consider this to be art when they make it.
absolutely. On top of that, they're probably young enough to still care greatly. And
Oh, yeah.
maybe there's some value in investing in some of these 17-year-olds if they can turn into dope-ass mid-20s guys writing music like this. That's all I'm trying to say. If we're not going too much into it, it's just, frankly, a lot of these songs are of very equal caliber. And when everything kind of sounds similar, there's just less you can say without being a broken record, is my experience with these reviews.
Well, with this particular song, I don't know if you remember what I said earlier about the Strokes and the song and
The Vacation one?
Yeah, Vacation. The bands of the early 2000s.
Right.
Well, this definitely
Absolutely.
reflect. Go listen to anything from Room on Fire by the Strokes from the early 2000s. And
The next track has a video, but wasn't listed as a single on Wikipedia. So what I'm understanding is these Wikipedia nuts are not jumping on updating the Orwells page. So if you have a fan out there who wants to do so, feel free. But they now have a video out for Black Francis.
When a little man, you they get my fun. Now they're feeling bad, and I'm not alone. Have you heard that band?
Alright, Greg, why don't you tell us about the infamous track 5, Black Francis, experience and transformation of your opinion?
well, first of all, that's racist. He prefers if you just call him Francis. I had completely flipped on my opinion on this. I had given it a certain score, and then when Holden told me something,
It was a key fact. So
Yeah.
I looked up who Black Francis was, and he's the guy from the Pixies. And apparently Matt O'Keefe, one of the dudes in this band, was like flat out, basically we ripped off the Pixies for our entire sound, and we love this dude, Black Francis, and we kind of just wrote this song in his style, and is really Pixies like. I'm not a huge Pixies fan, or
I mean, I grew up in the '90s, so the Pixies is maybe even just a little bit before my time. But Pixies was definitely something that we all heard growing up.
I know that like one song, "Where Is Your Mind" or whatever.
Yeah, the song from Fight Club.
That's it, but everything else is. I got earlier this week. Somebody on my Facebook posted some Pixies lyrics, so I'm curious, and I actually dabbled a bit, but that was before we got to this album. Where now I'm super duper curious, and it's not like everyday music for me, but
I mean, a lot of bands nowadays probably got their at least some inspiration from the Pixies. The Pixies was definitely something that is extremely popular when I was 10 years old. I don't know.
I'm too young for it. They were not popular when I was 10 years old. The Cisco and the Thong song was pretty popular when I was still college. So, like, I missed out on a lot of this type of era of music, but one of the things I think was really very respectable of the Orwells is to name the song after their biggest influence and to just be like, this is who we are. Like, in a lot of cases, people rip off sounds, right? And a lot of people might have a problem with that, and I could understand it, but if it's just to me, when you're giving your homage, it's like putting your citation in an essay. It's cool. You're continuing on the vision put in place by this guy from back in the day.
It's also true when you're doing it you're paying homage to a different artist who hasn't made an album in
exactly
how many years.
It's like all the guys who made Johnny Cash songs who were inspired by Johnny Cash, and I respect it because it's realer, and real is important to me. And these guys have maintained this we are exactly who the fuck we say we are kind of attitude the whole way through. They're very self-aware, and I appreciated that. But the song didn't really do much for me, so I only gave it a 7 on 10.
Yeah, I mean, when he told me that this band had said that they modeled their whole sound around the Pixies, I was actually like, huh. And I completely changed my tune. Like, I was going to review this album much worse than I actually did. But after hearing that, I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? If I get new, like, it's not the Pixies, but if there's new, almost the Pixies, I want to listen to that.
Exactly. It's encouraging to see parts of music that one would have said were dead getting their revival 20 years later. Like, seems to happen every 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, if 20 years from now, someone who sounded almost like Michael Jackson decided to reproduce like a couple of Michael Jackson's songs.
Bruno Mars.
I'm just saying, like, I've never listened to Bruno Mars.
He's basically turned himself into a proper Michael Jackson style clone. The song is called M.A.D.
I have no idea what that spells.
Save my money for a place, maybe another day. Time I found another face.
I fucking really like this song. It was so fun.
It was definitely a fun song. I really like the intro. It kind of had like a social distortion kind of vibe to it, which was nice.
And I felt like lyrically it was describing a 21-year-old Holden's misadventures through stupidity. And I related a lot to that. And it's always fun to listen to songs that make you realize where you used to be compared to where you are now. I could bump this again because of that. Maybe it's just for that reason alone, but I really like this song.
Definitely things in a lot of these songs that remind me of Beck from his like early '90s days. Back in the time of Odelay, like
I dabbled in a couple of those. I know it's weird, Beck.
It was good, especially for back then. I mean, he's pretty culturally significant, as you were mentioning earlier.
Oh yeah, Beck went from I don't remember the name of the genre. He started anti-punk or anti-folk or some shit like that. And has evolved through all sorts of shit, man. The guy's dropped like 18 albums. He owned the Grammys last year with his very folk, soft, nice album that he wrote. He is the Gorillaz with the next dude, him and some journalist buddy of his are the Gorillaz. And if you consider the influence on the culture of music acts have produced is pretty significant. So it makes sense to me how guys like the Orwells could end up modeling some of their
showed this song to my roommate. I asked him, like, what kind of music would you say this is? Because I was just sitting down writing the review, and I wanted to know you know, how should I classify this when we introduce it? What, you know, and I showed it to my room. Like, what would you call this? And he looks at me. He's like, sounds like gay Beck nonsense.
Yeah, I know. But either way, I liked it a lot. I gave this shit a 9 on 10.
You know what? The song is good enough. I just didn't really like it as much as you did. I mean, I'm not going to +1 this one.
I plussed it. It's there.
So I gave it a 7.
Hard to go on about them. So let's move on to Buddy.
Keep talking, walking pretty. Remember what I say. I'm getting hard in the van. Oh no.
Buddy is actually the lead single off the album, released October 3rd, 2016, with no music video. Fucking, like, my energy just went right to, like, top levels with this song. It was really fun. It was really high, like, almost punkish in the way it came, like, this older style of punk where it just gets so bouncy. Great lyrics.
You definitely hear that Pixies influence in this one. And it's really fast, really high energy. I can't believe it's only 1 minute and 26 seconds.
And that's my flaw with this song. I mean, it's almost as if they wrote a song of their normal tempo and speed and then sped it up and then didn't write any more song to go with it. And had this song been at least twice as long or a lot more of it, I could have fucking given this a perfect 10 on 10 for how well it was. But I felt like just as I was getting into it, it ended. And as a result, I ended up only really giving this shit an 8 on 10.
You know, I don't. You know, you guys know I don't like giving 10s away, and I feel this guy deserves more than a 9 for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 9.5.
Okay. For me, again, it's the length. I felt like just like I was getting into it, but it is definitely one of the best made songs on this entire album. Let's talk about then Hippie Soldier.
Hippie Soldier.
Go buy a record and some discount clothes. Sha-la-la-la. Sha-la-la. Just because you.
Sounds like Pixies. Sounds like Beck. Doesn't suck. Move on.
No, I got a little more on this. This song I started listening to and I was like, oh, I don't fucking like this. It's a little slower. It's a little da-da-da-da-da. But then I listened to the words of the song as it started to describe a particular type of individual, this entitled, privileged person who rather sit there, watch TV and rant and rave and go on the Facebook and however else you want to, interpret it. Seriously, like, just because you didn't try doesn't mean you know it all type vibe, and kind of just calls out this hipster generation of people who don't want to learn the real shit but want to be sensationalized. And when you get music like that, to me, it makes me feel hopeful for the future of mankind, that in the midst of this grungy ass depressing music, you're getting such positive, powerful messages. That shit works for me. I appreciated it.
Chatelet Brothers.
I don't know what that means.
Nope, you don't.
Oh, you don't get to find out here? No.
Oh God, you don't want me to describe it.
But an 8 on 5 on 10 because I like
8 on 5 on 10. Is that a
Yeah.
ratio, or are we gonna have to calculate percents?
No, it's just 85% of grade.
Soldier, it's standard on par. It's just otherwise unremarkable for me from a
Understood.
great majority of the songs. I mean, I gave other songs that remind me of this one an 8, so I gave this one an 8. It's a well-rounded out. I can't.
Okay. Hopefully we get more out of Greg on the next song, Heavy Head.
There's a dog looking for revenge, so take me to the desert.
So Greg, better, more happy feelings, sadder feelings?
I mean, yeah, this one is once again otherwise unremarkable. Usually it takes a couple songs for me to get into the blender effect. This one, once again, I mean, I can't really say anything specific about it. This is the one song I actually have no notes for on my fucking thing.
He's not lying, I can see that. But I, on the other hand, really fucking like this song. This is, in
Oh.
fact, my favorite song on the album. When I got to this point, I wrote, this is my favorite so far, which meant the other one was no longer. And nothing came and passed it. And this is an anthem to me. It's one of those songs that got me all pumped up. It turned me back into a grade 10 student ready to take on the world and fuck the system. And it called out everyone for keeping their mouth shut about everything. And I appreciated how they delivered the message of their song. And again, this is one of those bands where I can see why you feel the way you feel, but as a guy who loves the lyrics, their poetry is so interesting to me. And I gave this shit a 9 because it was plussable. I didn't plus it yet, but I plan on going back and doing that.
Yeah, my system's a little different. Instead of going and looking at the lyrics specifically, I just listen to the album and I look at what sticks out to me and what I like.
Which is fair. Which is why this is the difference between a guy obsessed with rap and a guy who doesn't really listen to rap and how we approach it. What did you give it?
This one here.
Yeah.
I actually didn't register a score, but for its
You gave it a
non-applicable.
non-applicable.
I give it an NA. N/A.
Oh my gosh.
No,
Hippie
I'm
Soldier was more
giving
of
it
an
a 6.
NA than this.
I'm giving it a 6.
Oh man.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey, remember Overkill? I gave it fucking a lot of steel beams, and you gave something like 5. That happened on the last
fine.
one.
It happens. It does. But let's talk about this next. I don't know if I can even call it a song. Body Reprise.
It's actually Reprise though.
What? No, Reprise.
No, it's Reprise.
Oh fuck! I don't know. I'm gonna check that after. Maybe it's my love of BBC that consistently makes me say words incorrectly. So I've given up even trying to remember.
I don't even really know. I was just really trying to fuck with you.
Yeah, this is 1 minute-ish long drug trip middle of an album break. I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah, I've never done the drug that you have to take to get this song.
Yeah, no, and it's really short, and it's just kind of voices and sounds, and it's not so related to the song before it or after it, so it is its own unique piece. It's not poorly made, but it did nothing for me, so 6.
Yeah, I didn't have any tropical toads to lick, so I don't feel like I could completely review this song.
There's not much to it.
It tends to it's like the music. Okay, what this song is if you've ever watched a TV show where someone does heroin,
Okay.
and you hear music, and then they put the heroin in their arm, and then this song comes on.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's just gloomy ass fucking suicide music.
It's like someone slipped at the board and just hit slow.
All right. Well, what did you give it then? I gave it a 6.
I gave it we said NA is a 6, but this is actually factually an NA. I can't. It's kind of I don't. Does it even count as a song? Ooh,
how about you let us know in the comments if this is
does
a
this
song
count
too?
as a song?
In the meantime, what does count as a song and has a cooler energy? Ring pop. This is the gloomiest song about gold diggers I've ever heard.
Oh, is that what the lyrics are about?
Kinda. It's like gold diggers, this girl chasing the fame, has no time for him, blah, blah, blah. Typical, like Kanye West Gold Digger is another version of this song. And, but it's so gloomy, so sad, like Eeyore was singing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the hardest things about this album in particular is just how much everything sounds the same. It sounds like the background music to the coolest party you went to last summer, but is otherwise unremarkable.
Yeah. In the right setting, everything that I've listened to would work real well. But in my like studio room place where I was reviewing the album, it just felt a little like I was too sober. But this song, again, it didn't really grasp me. It's good. It's good for what it is. The lyrics are more or less why I like it, and the way he sings it is okay, but it's, again, the gloomiest song about gold diggers. I gave it an 8 because it's a very well-made song, but I don't know that I could go listen to this very regularly.
At times sounds like Beck. At times sounds like The Doors.
I
to
felt
a certain
The Doors.
degree. I'm Greg Hamilton. I compare things to other things.
So I guess that's about it then. We'll
I give it a 7.
okay, so moving on to Last Call, and in parentheses, Let's Go Home.
I'm in between happy and mean, waiting on time to stop.
Greg, this song was boring.
Oh, really?
I'm just gonna put it out there.
You thought so? I actually
like this
thought
one?
I thought this guy kind of picked it up.
Oh my gosh. okay, maybe it was the words or whatever. I'm confused a little bit, right?
But then again, I was one of those people that in the early 2000s, like the White Stripes and bands like the Strokes. So when I
Okay.
hear songs like this, it kind of brings me back to that place. And
just-
this is the kind of music that you know, the Orwells has on this album that tends to appeal more to me as opposed to songs like Body Reprise.
Well, okay, but that wasn't even a song.
Was it? Oh, so now it's not a song.
Why?
It's not a debate anymore.
Listen, I have learned that my girlfriend wins arguments by changing facts, and I'm trying out the tactic to see how to better argue against her. So, you know, putting that on the internet keeps me safe. It's my new tricks to life. But I don't know. I couldn't get into this song. I tried. It's slow. It's kind of boring compared to other ones. I suppose I like it when the songs have some life in them. And this one, it felt like they were just describing trying to get laid at 16. And then I wasn't sure if he fucked a hooker or not in the chorus. And in general, whatever. It just turned into a 7. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was just average.
Well, if he fucked a hooker during the chorus, then, you know, I hope he got a deal because that's like 12 seconds.
He says something like, take whatever you want when the morning comes. And I'm like, well, either that's a manipulative woman or he paid for sex or he doesn't care. And I don't know. I just felt so apathetic. It's like so out of it. And I can see why you'd like it based on that. But the music I had more energy. I had some My Chemical Romance to deal with. All right, so
See, I'm not a lyric person. I don't hear a song I like. Half the time I don't even understand what the fuck people are saying, and so I don't run to the computer and Google it. So watch one day. There's gonna be some really like horrible song, like where the message is like, "Hey, let's blow up the favorite place of everybody." And
I mean, even in pop, it sometimes sneaks in. Look at Britney Spears with her song "If You Seek Amy," and if you say "If You Seek Amy" really quickly, it sounds like "F-U-C-K me." And it took them like 4 months before they realized this and censored it. So I thought it was a clever ploy, and good on Britney. I'm a huge Britney fan. She has never failed to me, and I respect her. I know that's a strange plug in the middle of Orwell's album, but I felt that the conversation flowed to that point. Did you give your rating on this?
yeah, I liked it. So let's go with a solid 8.
Fair enough. So that's going to bring us to the last song on the album, which, whereas everything else is like 3 minutes or less, this guy is like 7 minutes fucking long. We're talking about Double Feature.
Came from the wrong side of the track, showed up with scratches down his back.
So that song is really fucking long after everything we just listened to. I mean, I looked at it and I got a little nervous, right? Apparently, fun anecdote, this is the longest song the Orwells has ever written. And
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised looking at the lengths of all their songs. I think there's maybe one other song over 3 minutes.
And Matt O'Keefe basically said, we took a lot of riffs from the Pixies for this one and put it together and created this thing. So it's, again, another direct pull from them. And I happen to really like this song. It's got a cool feel to it. Like, it's got this smooth energy that while I was listening to it, it didn't get boring. I played a whole game of Clash Royale in the middle of it, and it was so great. The music fit perfectly, and the song was good lyrically too. It told some story about some guy with a girl under the bleachers, and the next thing you know, he's in jail. And I'm not sure if it was like a miscommunication or what happened, but it kind of alludes to like this rape situation. And to take on such a subject in their album opener and deliver this crazy fucking epic song, it came out as a single as well. Weirdly enough, all 3 of their singles dropped in a month period of time, and then the album came out recently. Even the other one that had a video and wasn't a single was still like came out a long time before the album actually got released, which is strange to me. Normally people space the fuck out of singles. So these guys are clearly just G about giving the music out.
I mean, it could be a sign of the times too. Like now that digital release is the primary form of.
See, What I learned while watching Fat Joe and Remy Ma's interview with the Breakfast Club from one of the headspaces is that the indie side of music or whatever, the non-super label, pushes the singles with greater length to maximize profit. So the fact that they were just shooting shit out and not letting them have the natural month or two to ride its course shows that they're more about getting the music out. Fuck, I believe on their website, I kind of looked at the website a bit, they're like, fuck it, we don't even care if you steal it. There's no point in making music if you're not getting it. And if you hate it, burn your phone. And I was like, man, these guys are nice. I appreciated this song in general was a better one on the album for me. And I would like to follow these guys.
Yeah, it's a funny thing that you bring that up. I mean, because the radio itself, you think you're listening to music and then like 5 minutes of commercials. No, what you're actually listening to is an hour of commercials. Because each song it used to be that each song in and of itself is a commercial for you to go out and buy the album filled with all the songs.
It still kind of serves that purpose. It's just that
now everything's digital release. Where
very few people buy albums, whereas once upon a time, a lot of people bought albums. And it's interesting because that relates to the news. And one of the problems the news is facing, not to go too far off topic, is that nobody wants to pay for the news, so the news has gotten desperate to get anybody to finance it.
Like, when it comes to, I mean, look at it, okay? Unless you have physical advertisements on your site that people are actually actively clicking on, you're not making money based on the system that already exists.
And the numbers show that actively clicking is like 0.05%.
Yeah, it's a tiny minority. People see advertisements on the internet as intrusions into their there's a reason that people have ad blockers. To complete, I do it. I get rid of fucking ads. I don't want to look at ads when I do.
You know why? Because I want to monetize our channel one day, and then I'd feel like a hypocrite for not doing it out. But I do believe that they need to be smarter about advertisements, and to give Google its credit, it is now decided that fake news is not allowed to have its advertisements. And good on you, Google, for adapting and trying to be smarter. Greg, what did you give this closing song on the album?
The closing song on the album, I actually gave it a lower score than you did. I gave it a 7.
I liked it, man. It's an 8. It was fucking nice. It ended nice. It was a good way to close off this experience of listening to the Orwells.
I mean, unfortunately, this album, for the most part, is unremarkable. I didn't particularly find anything about it particularly. It wasn't like the Overkill album where I'm like adding songs over my thing. There's one or two.
Keep in mind, people, this is all genres and preferences here.
I understand what it sounds like. Like I like it. I don't dislike it. It's just not the kind of music that I'm going to go listen to. I got over my fix for this kind of stuff in 2005, 2006.
I can't say I've listened to a lot of stuff like it. It feels like it was very well made. I give the album a 7.7 on 10. It was just a math average. That's just how it worked out. I liked it, but it is not a classic album I would go out of my way to seek out. It would be contextually appropriate, fun music.
Yeah, I like I said, it's good music. I would definitely play this. If I was having a social engagement, this would be what's playing in the background of that social engagement. It definitely has the ability to pick you up when you're out walking and doing stuff. But it's not. It's just for the most part unremarkable. So I'm gonna go 7 for this guy.
Okay.
And I forgot to assign a unit of measurement.
What is it?
This week we are going with bottles of ketchup.
So this is the end of our journey into the Orwells. The album is pretty much what it is the whole way through, and if you love it, you're going to fucking love it, and if you're like us, you're going to like specific individual tracks here and there. And we'll catch you next week, and we'll find some way to pick an album that doesn't betray us at the last minute.
Yeah.
And please subscribe, like, comment. We have appreciated the comments we've gotten so far.
You can also follow us on Twitter at RockinBeardsPod.
Yeah, and all of that will be posted below. So until the next time, this is the Rockin' Beards Podcast, HSR.
Greg Hamilton.
Peace.